Hey bro, as I looked at my last video where I talked about the general rules of up training, I figured that it will be a good idea to go in depth about the general rules of training your muscles in a simple way, in order to help you train efficiently and minimize injury and maximize muscle growth. Given the fact that I compared ab training with a lot of principles that are applied when training the rest of your body. Now, what good technique actually is when you're training in the gym and trying to get results. In order to train the most efficiently to grow muscle, your technique needs to be as good as it can be. Closer to perfect is better. Yes, that's true. But because everyone is built different, it ends up being something close to a great technique. And so, the so-called perfect technique is something that is more personal to your body, because everyone is different, and that's why you might see two guys who are equally as big but would bench press a little differently, for example. But if you want to find out what technique is perfect for you, I recommend that you check the link in the description. But there are a few key features common to all people and that are always effective to follow. So let's take a look at them. There are at least 4 things that can be universally applied in the gym in order to get the most growth. First is a deep range of motion. That means whatever muscle you are training, if you get them on the ultra stretch position under load, you're gonna build more muscle than if you're not gonna stretch them as much as they should. A deep stretch on the bottom is a core element in almost all cases. If you do any exercise and that exercise has a version of deep stretch compared to the same exercise done with a shorter range of motion, you're getting more growth from the deep stretch exercise. For example, let's compare pull-ups. The first one where you go all the way down to those where you stop when your arms are slightly bent. The first version will always build more muscle because that version has a lot more movement to it, and also on the bottom part when your arms are straight and then you're going to get back down, that is gonna give your muscle a huge stimulus. And also you'll have to use less load, which means less fatigue and or less risk of injury. And because you're putting them through a big range of motion and on flexibility position, you expand your mobility, flexibility, athletic ability, and reduce your overall future risk of injury. Number 2, a control eccentric, the lowering phase. Your muscles that are acting are lengthening while they're contracting, slowing the weight down. If you don't control the eccentric, 2 things can happen. 1, because that phase causes lots of muscle growth, a bit more than the concentric phase, you're missing out on some gains. But the worst thing that can happen when, for example, bench pressing and just dumping the weight on your way down is that it can cause injury not just from the bar hitting you, but from the muscles being put in the really high force requirement positions when you have to reverse the weight back up huge velocity on the way down. There are sports contexts where people are probably warmed up to do explosive reactive plyometric type movement, but they're not designed to grow muscle and you really have to ramp into them. But when I say slowing the weight down, I don't mean waiting 5 hours to do a rep. I mean for at least 1 or 2 seconds where you're pushing against the weight that is going down. So you're not letting it dive bomb into you. So that's our second way to have good technique in almost every case. Third way is no cheating. Now, cheating is generally defined as trying to leverage your body and using other muscles in jerky movements in such a way that make the weight you're trying to lift easier, but it doesn't engage the muscle that you're trying to hit as good as you would want. So, if you do a regular bicep curl, what is providing almost all the energy in that movement is the bicep itself, as it should be. It does all the lifting, thus receiving all the benefits. But if you start to do curls and moving around like crazy, then you're using your glutes, lower back, upper back, and delts to generate a ton of momentum to the dumbbells. But the biceps are not doing the same amount of work, thus getting less stimulus. So, to get the best results, it's better to go with a lower weight and not cheat, rather than focusing your entire body on doing some athletic movement that doesn't target muscle growth as good as you would want it. And if you still really want to cheat your way, you'll have to do a combination of more weight and more reps to get slightly less effective growth. Point number 4 is that the target muscle is the limiting factor. This means that you arrange your technique in such a way that when the exercise gets close to failure, the muscle that you're targeting is the limiting factor. Is the reason that you can do another bench press rep because the chest is too tired to push. Just an example, if you're training leg press for the quads and you put your feet really high and really wide on the platform, it reduces how much range of motion your quads go through and it will target more of the glutes. So yeah, you can say that leg press is for quads, of course, but your technique isn't good for quads, because if you want better quads, you take your feet and you put them closer and lower on the platform and go through a really big range of motion for them. And now, let's say on the rep 7, you get close to failure, but it is because your quads can't go anymore. So they get closest to failure and then they're getting the most amount of stimulus and benefits. Now, I hope this video helped you on deciding what a good technique is and how you can implement these tips in order to achieve more progression in the gym. But if you still need help, I do one-on-one coaching where I will give you personal diet, personal training program. I'll create diet plan for you. I'll create workouts with all exercises tailored for you and your goals. Help you lose weight, going consistently to your gym, teaching you how you should do various exercises, help you with calisthenics and home training, not just gym. Achieve the physique of your dreams and other fitness and sports related help that you might need. And so, if you're interested in more stuff like this, check the link in the description and consider subscribing. Until then, have an amazing day.